Welcome to Roseflower Radio, the show that goes behind the scenes of your favorite independent artists and creatives. I'm your host, Micah Wilson, and Finlay's not here right now. It's just me. As of right now, he will be here a little bit later. More on that in a second. This is going to be a little bit different than all of our other episodes because this is the 2023 highlight episode. We have had so many amazing guests on for 2023 and so many amazing conversations and so many amazing moments. And I felt that while we do have a lot of stuff coming in 2024, I wanted to kind of sit here and give a good send-off, if you will, to 2023 and everything that we did in that year. We've had so many amazing guests, and we had over 16 people and 16 episodes come out this year just about music, independent art, and what artistry is, what it means to be independent, what it means to like dream, have visions, have goals. And these people are like some of the most like inspiring people for me personally to have conversations with, but also just to get to know and to enjoy. So how we're going to do this is to have this be a big collage of everyone. I'm going to have 3 to 5 minutes of each of these podcasts with these people. And just go ahead and listen in. And if there's something that you found really awesome, really funny, awe-inspiring, sad, something that you are interested in and you want to check out, please go ahead and check out the full podcast with each of these amazing people. I want to give a special thanks to the crew of Roseflower, everyone who put in blood, sweat, and tears to get all these episodes out when they did. And especially big props to Finlay Matthias. Obviously, he is the dog, and I wouldn't be able to do all this podcast stuff without him. I also want to thank all of these 16 guests that we had on. You guys have changed the way I perceive independent art and independent music for the better. And I'm truly grateful for y'all. And you guys are so wise, beyond your years, all of you. I don't know why I did that. And last but not least, I do want to thank you guys, the listeners, the viewers, wherever you're watching this, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, on YouTube, or wherever else you can find podcasts. We are so grateful for you and the support that you have given us this year. You've given us a way to communicate and a way to also showcase a different side of these artists that they may not have ever showcased to the world before. And that's a lot of responsibility. And we don't hold that lightly. So we are really, really grateful to showcase some of these artists to you in a way that you probably have never seen them before. As a final send-off of 2023, I hope you enjoy this week's episode. And for 2024, I know we have been putting a couple of highlight 2023 stuff for the charity stream and also this now, just because we have a lot of stuff that we're planning on working on for 2024. We're going in with a bang. So give us a little bit of patience as we go. The first person who we're going to start with today is Alex from DUMBDAYS. Believe it or not, I know it was a year ago, and man, he really just set the year off on a strong start. So without further ado, enjoy.
Like self-taught and doing that kind of thing. I was wondering, you mentioned Blender a lot.
Yeah.
Now, when I was younger, I fucking loved Blender.
Really?
I loved Blender. I went to Blender summer camp one time.
Really? I didn't know that.
To learn character building. It was like a Monday to Friday summer camp.
Wow.
Where we went and learned how to build characters in Blender.
How old are you?
12, 13 at that time, some shit like that.
I didn't even know Blender was a thing when I was a kid.
Nah, big nerd, my guy.
Yeah, I guess.
So I was wondering, where did you self-taught Blender or animation in general? Did it come from, you mentioned going to college for filmmaking.
Yeah.
Where did that, and then specifically Blender, where did that come in?
I always loved I always wanted to learn Blender. I think when I was little too, I've always been self-taught with editing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying for a Windows Movie Maker when I was 7, then iMovie, then Final Cut. And I always tried I think it was Cinema 4D back then, the pirated version, I'll admit. I always try to learn it so fucking hard. Obviously I'm a 10-year-old, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But the past 2-3 years, I majored in film production, but I wanted to do visual effects as a minor. So I played around with try to learn Blender. I decided not to be visual effects, and then I tried the donut blender, was so frustrating and gave up. But then the past 2 months, I was all right, I really want to try it. I really want to bring my animation. I used to be doing After Effects, that kind of 2D animation. I was Blender's so crazy, I could do so much if I just learn how to do this.
Yeah.
So I sat down, drank coffee, and grinded out 3 tutorials. And by then I was I would do one tutorial, the donut one, and then I'd be like, all right, I know that. Now to reward myself, I'm gonna try to make something that I want to see in the meantime. So I made like the first version of Steve, I think, in that, or the 3D version of Steve in that. And then I just did tutorials from there, like self-taught.
I did, man. And it was such a great time. And as soon as I finished setting up my room, I'm like, I'm gonna be here. We're chilling. Hawaii booked a trip in Hawaii for December. And my buddy comes upstairs and he's a facilities manager. He's like, Luis, you gotta come downstairs, bro. I'm like, why? What happened? He's like, everybody's here. The FBI is here. And I'm just like, what? Like, what?
This is an awesome story.
What do you mean, the FBI? So I'm just like, wait a second, the FBI? What? At our studio? Like, what's happening? We go downstairs and the CEO is there, the president, everybody's there, all the engineer, the picture team, the video editing team is there, everything. And I'm just like, what's happening? And what they did is they suspended us. They were like, the company is being investigated, or the owner of the one who's funding the place is being investigated for embezzling money. It's for fraud. And this is out already. This is public domain, so we can totally, So the owner, and again, I'm not going to say names or anything.
Yeah.
But had 12 other businesses. He had a lot of other businesses. His main business was a coin business, and he bought silver and sold it. And this is what he told his investors: I'll buy it when the price is high or low, and sell it when the price is high. And apparently, I don't know if it was who called. I'm assuming it was the FBI, wherever it's investigating, calls the bank, and the bank's like, "We don't have any account with this guy. Like, these vaults of silver don't exist." And everybody got fired. Everybody. And these are engineers who sold all of their personal equipment to the studio thinking they're going to be there for the rest of their life.
Oh my gosh.
And music publishing rights were sold to this. Everything was sold to this. And people had retirement plans in this. And it was just
crazy.
Everybody gets fired and the studio goes under. They start trying to liquidate everything. And I actually, at the time, because I was out of a job, I had somebody who was working on the case who I knew who helped me in helping them out getting inventory of the whole studio. They're like, you know this place very well. You figured out everything that's in the studio. I think you're the right person for this job. And again, going back to making yourself useful. See how that opportunity of knowing everything. I studied everything in the studio, every piece of equipment. I looked up manuals. I was trying to just be ready. So when the opportunity did come to be useful, I was ready. And so unfortunately it didn't work out that way in the end, but it did help me in hey, we need inventory of everything in the studio so we can sell it and try to liquidate it. And you're the right guy for this. So I went in. I was lucky because I was jobless. So I was like, okay, and so I go in, I help them out. That's a nice little gig that I got there. So I was just grateful. I'm it was sad though coming back. I was I saw my room too, and I was oh no. And
the gurus will say this, the gurus will say that. At the end of the day, make what you want to make it good, and the people will come. You know?
If that's the thing, that's the thing with all of the information that you get thrown out with TikTok and Reels, and you could take it all in and try and apply it all, or you could really just be does this feel right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that everyone that is dope that I worked with, just all the legendary people. I've been very fortunate to be in the room with just bands and artists that I'm dude, I've looked up to you for my entire life.
Yeah.
But all of them they just feel it. You know what I mean? There's less thought process that goes behind it.
Yeah, they're not sitting there being at 37 bars and 3 beats.
Yeah.
Is that wrong or is that off? Or it doesn't matter. Does it feel off?
Yeah,
Does it feel right?
And and that's the thing is as you get better with, and I noticed this in my own creation process, there's less misses with for me personally. I'm not saying everyone else is gonna love it, but for what I love, that's all that matters at the beginning. It just matters if you like it, because if you don't like it, no one else will like it.
Yeah.
And that translates to everything. Same with content and whatnot. But there's less misses for me personally. because I can immediately tell right off the bat. I'm like, you know, in the first 5 minutes of me making a beat, I'm like, yeah, this sucks, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I still make trash beats.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, not everything I make is like up to my standards for myself, but like, there's definitely less of that. And you realize that with like, you know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Frusciante isn't in there being like, let me go for 90 takes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's
And then,
just, he'll like play and be like, oh, that was cool. Like, I can improve.
Yeah.
And then he'll like get it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like you just like know what you like and what you don't like right off the bat.
And it is a chore, but I have found a way to enjoy it and actually get creative fulfillment out of it, which I constantly talk to creatives about, where they're like, oh, I hate making videos and I hate that I have to do this. And it's like, bro, especially as like like I think unique to hip hop, and maybe I'm just biased, but like it is a form of lyricism almost to take it's a form of lyricism to take a feeling and recontextualize it into words, and then to take that song and recontextualize that into a visual. Because we're audio people that are now becoming videographers. And instead of looking up like audio engineering, I feel like it's much more valuable for me to learn more about composition and lighting.
Yeah, especially in this day and age where like there isn't anything that I don't think anybody discovers music today without there being a visual. Even if it's just the Spotify canvas in the back, there's always something visual.
Which is why when I walked past that alley and I looked at Andrew and I said, orbit me in that alley and I'm gonna rap Prison twice and we just cut between it. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm telling you, this is gonna matte. Like this, like if we like color grade it with like a cool gray tone over it, it's gonna go fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't,
love
it doesn't. Whatever. It'll take us 10 minutes. When you're not in the in group, you're on thin ice. So like a great example is like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Wait, really? When did that happen?
Hold up. Do we got that on camera?
Wait, is that a bit? Micah,
This is
Micah,
a
look
bit.
at
Are
me.
you doing
Is
a
this
bit?
It is absolutely 100%
Okay.
of it.
I
I thought you guys were gonna just join with me.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't me. Okay.
I
Whoa,
thought
you got me.
I thought someone was gonna be like, yeah, haha, but no, I didn't mean for that to be that serious.
I was like, no, because that would have been fascinating.
Yeah, if
that
you
would have
somehow
been truly
missed that-
fascinating.
So the first plugin I was like, how do I get auto tune? You know, because that's just because I can't sing. So I was like, let me just get the thing that make me sing. You know, and then first thing I got, and it's like this auto. It was the weirdest looking plugin, and it was like, yeah, if you want this, you have to get an iLock. And I got this iLock. It's like it has to be the 2.0. So I got a new iLock, and then I paid $99 for this plugin as well as the other thing. I'm like in 8th, 9th grade at this point.
So $99, that's
No,
all
$99
the money
for
you
the
have.
plugin, $50 for the iLock. I got the wrong iLock. I had to get a new iLock, and then I had to get like a $20 activation thing. It was like so much money just for this one plugin, and I was like, plugins suck, dude. Like, I never want to use plugins. And then I found out, like, yeah, you don't have to use an iLock at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what an iLock is?
No, honestly, I don't.
Oh, that was a really good story to tell.
But I like at that point just crack whatever you want, like, because I've cracked like
Careful, man. We already talked about incriminating yourself.
I've cracked a lot of peanuts in my life. Is what I was gonna say. I've cracked a lot of peanuts open, and I've cracked nothing else. Ever.
Yeah,
So,
cashew nuts,
yeah,
pistachios. You know.
Yeah,
Big nuts
definitely
guy.
not plugins. That's crazy.
No, that would be
That's not even.
insane.
That's not even possible.
Yeah, what? What does that even mean?
That's not even legal. I'm pretty sure. I would never do that.
I don't
What
even
are you
think
talking-
that's legal. I went to his dorm, recorded, and he like has me take off the headphone. And he turns on the speakers and he's like starting to mix it, and I'm like hearing my voice raw, and I was like, "Holy shit, this sounds so bad."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm never making music again." And
Yeah.
I remember I was like in high school still. My mom picked me up, and I got in the car. I was like, "Mom, I'm never making music again." And she was like, "What happened?" I was like, I sound terrible. Like the mixing process, I didn't even know it existed. But no, he's the first person I ever recorded with, and now we have a couple songs together. And I just released a song last night with one of my friends from North Carolina also. So
go.
yeah, I'm trying to do more collabs though, especially being out here.
Yeah.
I feel like collabs are kind of the way to grow now because you're like conjoining two fan bases. And I'm trying to take advantage of that.
But it wasn't until I really like started finding myself, I guess, like my sound, until I started sending music in, I really feel like, to you guys. Because, like, Teenage Drama was, like, my first, like, fuck yeah. Like, that's a good song. I'm so proud of it. Like, this is what I want. And that was the first song I sent in to you guys. And then since then, I feel like writing for me has just been such, like, a great time because, like, this time in my life, like, being in college and just meeting new people, like, has just brought out, like, so much as far as the writing. Like, I have, like, 200 songs just, like, in my notes, just of, like, things that, like, I jot down through the day that, like, hopefully get fleshed out into ideas, you know? But all that to say, it's like, yeah, I started honestly just, like, not as a joke, but almost just, like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to do this. And I think I, like, grew into songwriting and, like, singing more as my, like, passion in, like, artistry opposed to, like, picking up, like, a guitar and being, like, the guitar player or the production major in that.
This is where it comes back to that 20-second, like, jump situation where, like, it wasn't like he was going to be, like, asking me all the time whether I want to come or not. Like, I jumped in and had to be like, yo, can I go to the session with you? And then he would be like, sure. Like, yeah, why not? And then, and in those moments when, you know, the producer he was working with at that time or whatever, like, let's say maybe the session was, like, kind of neutral or, like, we didn't know what was going on. Like, I would be like, hey, do you mind if I take on the laptop? And then, like, I'd be driving and then, like, we would, like, build it together. And then,
It's cool.
So, like,
it's getting yourself in the room.
Like, you know, Buppy I really think, like, he didn't take my music just because I was his friend. Like, I had to prove and be like, I am objectively a good producer. Like, it's not just about, like, a homie thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'll put you on to any song you want, dog. Like, it really is about, like, we're trying to make good music. Can you make good music? And, like, I think knowing the difference between the two and how those two can work together too is, like, where you hit money.
Facts.
The irony is that it's like, if you have an enormous amount of talent, you've got a very specific brand, like, you've got all these things, but you don't have a assload of money or an insane platform or whatever, then you have to do most of the work that you're doing is not making beautiful art or figuring out who you are or finding your message. It's actually finding the right way to social psychology, market strategy, authentically. The perspective is authenticity for your audience. And that's the issue, is that I'm like, I am an honest person. I am an authentic person. But I'm also, like, an ADHD person who's just like, life is short and I don't have time to, like, pretend that I'm not good at the things that I'm good at and to pretend that I am good at things that I'm not good at. You know, it's like, I'm a flawed person. I'm also dope as fuck. Like, can't I say both of those things? And can't I have an audience that just, like, accepts that? Because you want to talk about, like, acceptance. I think that that's a two-way street. I think that it's like, I'm willing to accept that my audience is made up of a bunch of flawed people, and I am down to hear you out and, like, relay any information. Like, I will absorb your flaws, your woes, your wants, and kind of democratically, like a politician, but through art, like, go around and, like, vie for us and advocate for everybody. However, it's just like, I also then need my audience to be willing to, like, let me do that.
I've always wondered what, like, a metal scene is like in Portugal or something like that, you know?
But it was all in English. Like, I always write and sing in English.
Okay.
Is that hard, if that's being your second language, to write and come up with, like, stories and things like that in...
Well, I started to do it very early, so I guess it's not that difficult, but it's not my native language, of course. Of course, I always have to check for errors and all that stuff, like, am I saying this right, the grammar and all that stuff. But I don't really have the handle to write in Portuguese. I'm not sure why.
Really? So it's harder for you to write in Portuguese?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Interesting.
When I write in Portuguese, it sounds, I don't know, it sounds weird to me. It doesn't sound good. And I've always preferred to write in English because I feel, I don't know, I I don't know.
Is it
And
maybe
even my music and my type of music? I think it suits better in English.
Yeah. Is it maybe? Do you think maybe it's because you grew up listening to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and all those other artists
Yeah, and I've
in
always
English?
been very connected to English. Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who stick and have stuck to the self-everything thing. And I do think it's hindering a lot of them.
Interesting.
A lot of
It's
them.
just funny because you hear like everyone's such a big advocate now for doing everything yourself.
Self-produced, I think, is a huge...
It's
I think they're
awesome.
kind of separate conversations. Like, self-mixed, self-mastered is different from self-produced to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to work on being self-produced. Not fully, but able to be, you know? And I
Yeah.
think
If
Dxcklin
need
is a
be, yeah.
perfect example of, like, he's incredible at self-produced his own music. I think he makes better music by himself than with anyone I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know? That he's worked with. However, I don't think he should go and mix everything. I don't think he should master everything because I personally believe you should not mix the music you produce. I think you're just not seeing it from the lens that you should be.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
helps to get that second.
Yeah,
set of eyes,
especially the
second set of
master. Like
ears.
I, especially when you don't even have analog gear and you're just going through like Ozone or like
got that Waves L2 baby.
yeah, just like plugins or like digital stuff like Lander. Like I think you're just doing yourself the biggest disservice instead of throwing like my mastering engineer is only like like easy money. It's not even crazy money, the mastering end of it, and he's all analog. Like running it through. And I know mastering's not like the hardest thing in the world, but it sounds better when it gets back to me. It
Absolutely.
sounds dialed. It doesn't sound like a robot did it. And like a robot didn't do it. So I don't know. I think self-produce, yes. I think everyone should try to produce as much as they can. I think it makes your life easier logistically. I think it like makes the songs feel more like you.
Authentic, yeah.
I think you're going to make more stuff that you enjoy by doing that.
Hey, are y'all familiar with Duolingo? Have you used that app or
Oh,
know about the language learning app?
Yeah.
I'm learning Mandarin
Hell
right
yeah.
now.
Okay, cool. Fire.
Ni hao.
So I know that's kind of an out of nowhere question, but Duolingo is actually fascinating because the way it works is essentially they are rewarding consistent action using gamification and behavioral science. And your expectation with Duolingo is not that you're going to learn the language tomorrow. The expectation with Duolingo is that if you show up consistently over like a 6-7 year time horizon, you will have learned that language. And it's actually so similar to the artist journey. And this was something that I kept seeing throughout the Quad experience is that like we dealt with a lot of early stage artists, people who hadn't even released their first song yet. And almost every time without fail, the expectation of that artist going into it was that their song was going to pop off. This was going to be the one on their first song because it's so interesting in the landscape where it's like, that's what you're getting fed on TikTok, on these algorithms. You're getting fed people who are popping off. And so it's so easy to compare yourself to those people without realizing how much time they have put into it previously leading up to it. And so with this platform, like we really want to try to reframe that mindset and like help people think more process based, more consistent based. And also like it's really easy to burn out when you're chasing dopamine on your stream count and your view count on TikTok. And like you have all these metrics and numbers in your face. But what we're kind of trying to do is emulate some of the Duolingo aspects of rewarding you through gamification, through these behavioral science tactics so that you can get your dopamine through streaks, through process based things. Like you posted a TikTok, fuck yeah, like who cares what the view count is? You worked on lyrics today, like let's go. And so ideally like giving you dopamine on those daily actions so that ideally, in 6 years you've been putting in daily action. It's like, oh shit, I have like this whole fan base. I'm like rocking stadiums. It's like ideally, if you break it down like that, like you were saying, that can the hypothesis is that will lead to a lot more longevity.
Yes.
My friend who goes to UCLA, and he's telling me there's this guy on campus that just walks around UCLA and burns all the Lime scooters. Like he just like sets all the Lime scooters on fire.
Why?
He's just
That's
a dick.
funny.
I don't know.
That's why.
He's just like a dick. I don't know. He's afraid of AI.
It's a scooter.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't know what that scooter is
Yeah,
plotting,
bro.
okay?
Right now it's a scooter. Tomorrow it's taking your job. Today it's a scooter. It used to be an Uber driver.
Yeah,
So,
Micah,
how
I
long you
forgot
been a scooter?
I forgot to tell you, we're not renewing your contract. We're bringing in a Lime scooter to be the co-host.
He's terrifying. My thing is like, I think I had a conversation about this the other day. I think that like there is a certain level of human relatability that can only be achieved by a human. And I think like even if AI can entirely replicate what it sounds like to be a human being, simply consciously knowing that it's not a human being is gonna like allow me to not relate to it in the same way. Because I can't relate to like, I'll never be a robot. I can't relate to a robot in the same way that I can relate to a human being. So it's just like
Can't relate to those robot moments.
yeah,
you know?
it's just like I'm not a robot. You know what I
Like they
mean?
have a little glitch. You're like,
Yeah.
don't know, man. Can't help you.
100%. Like there's certain experiences I'll never know. You know what I mean? Like so it's like I think because of that, even if we can get to a point where like the quality can be entirely attained by AI, just the simple fact that it's not a human
It's the
being.
uncanny valley. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of what I was saying. Like, yeah, even if AI makes songs good enough to be hot #1 or like Billboard #1, I think there's gonna be at least at first a mental barrier of people being like, well, I don't want to listen to this song that's gonna go, even if it's like best song ever.
Bigot.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, get rid of this guy. None of him.
Cancelled.
I want to go back to you a little bit because the AI conversation is crazy.
It can go down.
Do you remember how I started that? I was like, I don't want to be that podcast that goes into the AI conversation, and then we went into the AI.
But one of the TikToks has got to be like, at this moment, or like.
Well, I think I would also say,
Bro, we should start a podcast.
that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting topic. So like,
It's interesting,
I don't want to fully.
There's
bash
a lot
it,
of
but
unknown,
everyone
you
is
know?
talking about
There's
it.
a lot
you
of
know what I mean?
unknown, which I think is why it's fun to talk about.
You know, it was one of those songs where I was like really like yelling, like using my full chest.
Yeah, I really going.
And it's like
for it.
obviously I'm not like perfect. I'm not gonna hit every, but like, and I was like maybe we should do like another take, guys. They kept being like another take, like oh I didn't hit that right, and they're like, dude, you have to realize like it's not gonna be perfect. Like you're not like I'm not like a fucking. I haven't done this for years.
You're
and
not
years.
a robot.
I was like,
yeah,
yeah, dude. Like, and I'm so used to like being in this or like in my own like studio or whatever, and you get 1,000 takes on like one line to make it like perfect. Because I'm a perfectionist like that.
Yeah.
I want it to sound as good as I can. But there's a certain endearing quality to like being like a little bit imperfect. You know?
and having
And like
that,
having those voice cracks. in
that
the song,
humanity to
you know?
it. Yeah,
And I'm trying to like allow myself more of that in the music because it
So
helps.
awesome.
Like a little bit more of that authenticity. Like
Yeah.
and that's what you hear in a lot of these like older like bands that like I'd look up to, like Dashboard. Like he's not hitting every note on the, I mean he's an amazing singer.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, but like he's not hitting every note like on fucking point. The songs aren't mixed to a T.
It's the emotion of
it's
it.
just like him and a guitar and a microphone in a room with his band. And like there might be multiple takes of shit, but like
It's so awesome because it's like what I love about this conversation specifically, as well as just like this as a whole, is like as independent artists, we are able to like kind of I would like to think that we are able to take back from a label that tried to put all them because they knew, hey, pop punk sells, so let's mix it perfectly.
Right.
It's trying to take a genre that is way bigger than a genre. It's more of a mindset.
yeah.
And get it to be a cash grab. You know what I mean?
It's based off of like the hits that you heard, like from,
Exactly.
like Blink-182 and Green Day. Like,
Yeah.
it's all like, you know, it's all those
or even 90s
perfectly-
grunge and Nirvana and all that
perfectly polished songs, and it's like, dude, I love that polished sound.
Yeah.
But now it's to the point where it's like
It's too much.
it's too much, dude.
Like it doesn't even sound like
Yeah.
pop
And it's
punk
like,
anymore.
dude, it's like, are these even guitars? These could be fucking synthesized. Like,
Yeah.
are the drums even real? Probably not.
I grew up skateboarding.
At a boy.
So I started skateboarding when I was like 3, and I literally, living in Miami, my mom would pick me up from school and drop me off at the skate park.
That's sick.
And I'd just like hang around those guys, and they all like would look over me because I'm this little kid.
Did you like wear a helmet and like?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, my mom. I grew up skating too, and my mom was very much like, "You do not wear," you know, like whatever. And like when she left, I was like, "Take it off" or whatever. You know what I mean?
I didn't take it off. My favorite skateboarder growing up was Bob Burnquist.
Yes.
And he had
always had his own,
the
yeah.
facility, and I was like, I want to be him.
Yeah.
And he had the pads and everything. So I was
Totally,
like, it's
dude.
cool to wear pads.
Yeah.
Like,
Tony Hawk did that too a little bit when but that was like more half pipe. But
Tony
sorry.
Hawk spent a long time without wearing a helmet, though. He did a lot of damage before he put the helmet
I know,
on.
but he's lit, so it works
yeah,
out.
he's sick. You can't say anything bad about Tony Hawk.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm
Tony
sorry.
Hawk's my dog, bro. I played almost every single Tony Hawk
Like, you know
iteration.
him personally, basically.
Dude, there was one version of the Tony Hawk game on the DSi that I religiously played, and like the ending thing was that you had to hit his signature Japan 900. and I could never do it.
So Tony Hawk.
Sorry, but back to you.
No, so growing up in like that atmosphere. Oh yeah, dude, take another beer. Oh yeah, indulge.
Thank you. By the way, Sawyer brought us beer.
I brought beer.
He's fucking dope for, you know.
Cheers.
Second guest in the last 2 or 3 months to bring us alcohol.
That's pretty awesome.
We had a guest from Portugal.
You guys need to put it like in your.
No,
your
we
description,
should.
Bring alcohol.
Yeah, bring alcohol. You get a better edit.
That's so funny.
We'll make you look good in the edit if you give us alcohol.
No. Don't tell them that. That's a secret. Come on.
Yeah, cut that out, Micah.
Cut that out. You guys cut that.
And one of the things that I found joining A2AM is that I ended up just meeting these incredibly cool people who were like leaders in this space, who changed things for independent record labels, for independent artists. And they were so generous with their knowledge, so kind, so warm.
Amazing.
Like,
so if
I
you
was
could,
floored by that.
We have a lot of most of our demographic of listeners and followers and all that stuff. They are all independent musicians who want to know more about the independent industry and what that is. So, like, if you could describe like A2IM to those people, like,
hit them like basic rundown. What's going on with A2IM? Like,
and why they should be involved, or what should they know about like what you guys are doing?
So A2IM, I mean, ultimately they're a trade org, right? Their goal is to advocate for this particular market, right?
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with the RIAA, which is the organization that certifies things platinum, gold, et cetera, they are they also represent the music industry, but they mostly represent the interests of the majors. Like you know, the majors kind of promoted this organization to help advocate for things, at a law level, at a copyright level. There's a lot of independent artists, independent labels that are part of the RIAA, but A2IM is specifically there to advocate for indies.
That's cool.
So we do a ton of advocacy work. We have our own lobbyists who work to change things on the Hill. We do a lot of education-based stuff. And so, everything from webinars to networking events to mentorship programs. We also have our own conference, A2IM Indie Week, which happens in New York in June every year. We have our own award system called the Liberas, right? And
I was going to ask, I saw that name mentioned a few times. Yeah. I'm sorry, I missed, what was the name of the upcoming song?
It's called Waste My Time.
Waste My Time, okay.
Waste My Time, yeah.
So we're bouncing around all the genres.
Yeah.
Where, in what space would you put Waste My Time?
Because We Take It Slow, I feel like is kind of like its own thing.
We're getting a little moody. We're getting a little sad. So, Waste My Time is kind of like the sister song to We Take It Slow. Like they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. They got a little bit of a similar sound with the vocals, and I can play it for you guys later if you want to hear. But January 5th, Waste My Time. It's I sent it to my mom, and she said, "I don't think I can listen to this ever again. It's too sad."
Wow.
End quote. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. But
what are you talking about in the song? Like, I mean,
it's like
who's wasting your time?
Me, dude. That's the thing, bro. That's the
deep.
thing.
That's not where I thought we were going.
Yeah, the chorus is I waste my time on you, and it's like I'm wasting my time on me because like why would I spend time on me? Whoa. Yeah, so it's like it's a whole song. It's just like a journey of like I don't know. Being a kid and all, you always feel like you're in the right, and you always feel like you're doing the right thing, as a kid, and you're like, I would never be a person to do a bad thing to someone else. And then you get older and you make mistakes and you start to realize like maybe, and then you wonder like this, yeah, exactly. This whole time, man, was I ever in the right, like, so it's really interesting. It's very like, it was one of those songs where I made it and I really had like a real, like this is like the best thing I've ever made type of moment. So that was really cool. That was really fun to make and like really like cathartic to just let all that out.
I love when music is therapy sometimes, man. Like,
for real.
I have found out so many times. I found out a lot about myself from just like sitting up and just like songwriting.
Exactly.
A lot of the times, I mean, like, I don't know if it's just like how I roll, but like I feel like that like there is a level to like my soul that just kind of like becomes exposed when you start to songwrite.
Exactly.
Like, is that the same for you, or like do you just kind of like have a topic already and then like
I think songwriting inherently has a level of vulnerability kind of built into it.
Of course.
Yeah.